It's a brand new way, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, get on the floor. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. It's a brand new way, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, step on the floor. Hot dog, hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Anyway, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, get on the floor. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Brand new way, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, get on the floor. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. It's a brand new way, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, get on the floor. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. Hot dog, diggity dog. It's a brand new way, what you waiting for? Get up, stretch out, get on the floor. What? I'm just trying to...
If you believe every victim deserves to be remembered and every truth deserves to be told, subscribe to The Crime Narrator. These stories live on because you're here to hear them.
The sun rose over Frederick, Colorado, casting a golden light over the quiet streets, where everything seemed ordinary, even idyllic. On the surface, Chris Watts appeared to have it all. A stable job, a beautiful wife, and 2 young daughters who were the center of his world. Neighbors would smile at the family on weekend mornings, watching Shannon, the devoted mother, bundle the girls into their little jackets while Chris held the door for her with that easy smile. To anyone looking in, it was perfection.
I'll do it again. Can I see?
Show mommy.
Do it to mommy. You're so cute, Bella.
Hi.
What kind of princess are you?
Hi.
Bella, what's your name? Bella.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Bella, what kind of princess are you? Cece, look at your hair.
Good morning, Princess Cece.
What's your name?
Bella.
But what kind of princess are you?
That's me.
What princess are you?
Good morning, Princess. Good morning,
Are you Elena?
Princess.
You're so cute.
Chris's life, however, was a carefully maintained illusion. Behind closed doors, there were cracks, subtle arguments over bills, minor frustrations with the mundane routine of life, and a growing tension that no one else could see. To him, the world was a stage, and he played the role of devoted husband and father flawlessly. But even the best actors sometimes reveal glimpses of the truth, if only in fleeting moments. It was a Tuesday morning, the kind that began like any other. Chris kissed his daughters goodbye, the 2 little girls laughing as they clung to his legs, and Shannon handed him a coffee with a warm smile. He smiled back, said he loved them all, and left the house, the neighborhood humming with ordinary life. Birds chirped in the trees, the neighbor's dog barked in the distance, and the smell of fresh pancakes wafted from a nearby window. Everything seemed normal, perfectly normal. Yet, behind the mundane, something dark was stirring. Chris carried with him a secret so horrifying that it would shatter the lives of everyone who knew him. The careful facade he had built over years of smiling for photos, attending school events, and posting family pictures online was about to collapse, exposing a truth that no one could have imagined. There were no warnings that neighbors could have seen, no obvious signs that this family was in danger. Chris had mastered the art of blending in, of making the ordinary appear flawless. His co-workers chatted about football and weekend plans, oblivious to the storm brewing in his home life. Friends would later describe him as normal, perhaps too normal, perhaps almost rehearsed in his every gesture. And that was exactly what made the upcoming events all the more shocking. As Chris drove away from his home, the sun reflecting off his windshield, he was already thinking ahead, calculating the steps he would take, the lies he would tell. There was a coldness in his mind, a detachment from the reality of his actions that would horrify anyone who could see it. The cheerful morning, the smiling neighbors, the laughter of his children. All of it was irrelevant to him. To Chris, appearances were everything, and he intended to maintain that illusion at any cost. Even now, as he navigated the quiet streets, he would later claim that he felt normal, that he acted like any other man would on a Tuesday morning. But the truth was far more sinister. In his mind, there were decisions that no one should ever be forced to make, actions that would leave scars not only on the victims but on an entire community. And yet, the world around him remained blissfully unaware. If you're following this story, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the chilling details as they unfold. And if you're already feeling the unease, go ahead and like the video. Share it with someone who can handle a story about the darkness that hides behind the most ordinary faces. By the time Chris returned home that day, the stage was set. The life he had portrayed so perfectly for the world was about to come undone in the most devastating way imaginable. Neighbors would later say they never suspected a thing, that nothing seemed out of place. But as the door clicked behind him, something irreversible was about to happen. Behind those walls, the illusion of a happy family would shatter forever. And so, what seemed like a normal day in a quiet Colorado town was actually the calm before a storm that no one could have anticipated. A storm that would leave an entire community questioning everything they thought they knew about the man who once smiled so warmly in their midst. By the time Chris returned home that Tuesday afternoon, the sun had shifted, casting long shadows across the suburban streets. Inside, the house was quiet, too quiet. His daughters played in the living room while Shannon moved about, tidying up, humming softly to herself. Everything appeared normal, but beneath that ordinary exterior, the air was thick with something that could not be named. Chris walked through the door, greeting his daughters with a smile that hid the turmoil in his mind. In the hours that followed, the carefully maintained facade began to crack. Behind the eyes of the man everyone thought they knew, a storm of dark intentions had taken hold. He moved with purpose, calculated steps that belied the chaos about to unfold. It was in these moments, when no one else was watching, that the horror began. Chris made choices so chilling that they defied comprehension. The laughter of his daughters, the soft voice of his wife, were drowned out by the cold logic of a man who had decided that appearances mattered more than life itself. In the mind of Chris Watts, the world would never know what truly happened. Not until the evidence began to surface, not until he could no longer control the story.
Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home?
She works, this is her lifeline. So yeah, that thing turns back on, it's gonna start blowing up. Oh yeah, trust me.
It was shut down?
She's in the play,
Yeah.
right? Well, it was originally under the pillow on the couch. You know where it passed through?
I don't know where passed over.
It used to be 2385, but now it's 6 digits.
It's the baby's due date.
1/31/8/19. But Imitrex is something she takes for migraine. She took more Imitrex this last month than she ever had before, but that's just because she was in North Carolina with the humidity and everything like that. She was there for 6 weeks, and we got back Monday or Tuesday, and then she flew out to Arizona Friday morning, and then she got back last night about 2 a.m. The flight got delayed. She left about 11. She got here at 2.
Okay.
And I went to work this morning about 5:15, 5:30.
Neighbors, oblivious to the unfolding tragedy, went about their routines. They might have glanced at the driveway, noticed the car still there, and thought nothing of it. But inside, the house was no longer a place of warmth and laughter. It was a silent, suffocating prison for the innocence that had once filled its rooms. Chris carried on as if nothing were wrong, but every action was measured, deliberate. There was a moment, fleeting, but unforgettable, when Shannon begged him for her life, her voice filled with terror, pleading and desperate. And he didn't stop. He continued, a cold and horrifying decision that would forever haunt anyone who tried to understand it. The screams, the pleading, were sounds that would echo in his mind. Yet he moved forward, detached and unfeeling. If you're still with me, make sure you're subscribed so you can follow this story to the end, uncovering every twist as it comes. Hit like if the suspense is gripping you, and share this with someone who can handle the chilling reality of true crime, because this story is one that refuses to be forgotten. Afterward, Chris attempted to return to normalcy. He cleaned up, staged the house to appear untouched, and went about his life as if nothing had happened. He posted on social media, talked to coworkers, and smiled at neighbors, hiding the unimaginable truth behind a mask of everyday life. His ability to manipulate appearances was nearly perfect, convincing even those closest to him that all was well. Yet the cracks began to show. Small details, inconsistencies, and the absence of his family could not be concealed forever. The house that once radiated warmth and laughter had become a tomb of secrets, each room a silent witness to acts so heinous they seemed unreal. And all the while, Chris moved through the world like a man untouched by the horror he had wrought. Investigators would later piece together the fragments of that day, trying to understand how a man could commit such acts while maintaining the illusion of normal life. But even with all the evidence, the truth of what it was like in those moments, hearing his wife beg, feeling the weight of his decisions, the horror of each irreversible act, could never be fully captured. It was a darkness beyond comprehension, a glimpse into a mind that had strayed so far from empathy and humanity. As evening fell, the sun dipped behind the mountains, casting long shadows across Frederick. The house remained quiet, the world unaware of the evil that had passed through it. Chris Watts had walked through horror and emerged, at least temporarily, unscathed in the eyes of everyone who knew him. But the storm he had unleashed would not stay hidden for long. Evidence, intuition, and the tireless work of investigators were beginning to close in. And so, a seemingly ordinary day had become a nightmare hidden in plain sight. The terror, the pleading, and the unspeakable acts had already happened, leaving an invisible scar on the town, on the family, and on the very idea of safety itself. The story was far from over, and what came next would shock the world. The unraveling of a man who had hidden his darkness behind the perfect mask of normalcy. The days after that fateful Tuesday were filled with a quiet unease that settled over Frederick like a shadow. Chris Watts continued his routine as if nothing had happened. A father, a husband, a man with a smile for neighbors and co-workers. But behind the perfectly curated facade, the cracks were beginning to widen. Small inconsistencies in his story, subtle slips of behavior, and the absence of his family set off alarm bells that could no longer be ignored. Police began their investigation methodically, following the trail of questions, evidence, and intuition. Neighbors who once described Chris as normal suddenly began to notice the little things. A missing smile here, a nervous glance there, a story that didn't quite add up. Investigators interviewed him, asking questions about his family's whereabouts, watching closely for reactions, and slowly piecing together a timeline that would reveal the unimaginable truth. Chris tried to maintain control, offering answers that seemed rehearsed, hoping to guide suspicion elsewhere. But the web of lies could not hold forever. The inconsistencies mounted, each one a thread pulling at the carefully woven tapestry of his life. Evidence that he could not erase began to tell the story the world needed to hear. The quiet tension in the room during interviews was palpable, as if the walls themselves were closing in, forcing the darkness inside him into the light. And then the confession came. Chris Watts admitted what no one wanted to believe. He had killed his wife and daughters. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. A revelation that shocked everyone who had ever trusted him. The man who smiled in grocery store aisles, who waved at neighbors, and who posted cheerful family photos online was capable of unthinkable horror. If you've stayed with me this far, make sure you're subscribed so you can follow every chilling true crime story we uncover. If this revelation has left you speechless, like the video and share it with caution, because some stories are harder to digest than others. The confession sent ripples through the community. Friends, neighbors, and co-workers struggled to reconcile the image of Chris Watts they had known with the reality of his actions. Social media was flooded with disbelief, grief, and anger. The house, once a place of laughter and love, had become a symbol of betrayal and loss. Investigators recounted every step of the process, every piece of evidence that led them to the truth, and yet even they admitted that some aspects were almost impossible to comprehend. In the courtroom, the full weight of his crimes was laid bare. Testimonies painted a picture of deception, manipulation, and unimaginable cruelty. Every lie, every staged scene, and every attempt to escape responsibility was catalogued for the world to see. And through it all, the haunting echoes of his family's absence lingered. The girl's laughter frozen in memory, the warmth of Shannon's smile forever gone. The aftermath was not just legal, it was deeply human. Friends and family grieved, the community struggled to heal, and the story became a cautionary tale about appearances, trust, and the darkness that can hide behind the most ordinary faces. The illusion of normalcy, so meticulously maintained by Chris Watts, was shattered beyond repair. The world had seen how easily someone could manipulate perception, how carefully darkness could be hidden, and how devastating the consequences could be. And yet, even in the face of the unspeakable, the story serves as a reminder, a warning, perhaps, to remain vigilant, to question appearances, and to understand that evil does not always announce itself with obvious signs. It can be quiet, patient, and devastatingly efficient, just as Chris Watts had shown. As we reflect on the tragedy, it's impossible to forget the voices of those who were lost, begging for mercy in moments no one could imagine. Their absence is a silence that haunts the town, a memory that refuses to fade. And the question lingers, how well do we really know the people around us, and what darkness might be hidden behind the masks they wear every day? If this story has left you with chills, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more true crime stories that uncover the hidden shadows in human nature. Like the video if the story struck a chord, and share it if you dare, to remind others that sometimes the most ordinary people can conceal the most extraordinary horrors. The house on that quiet street in Frederick remains a reminder of what was lost, of the perfect image that was a lie, and of a family that will never be forgotten. And in the stillness of the aftermath, the chilling reality persists. Appearances can be deceiving, and evil sometimes wears the face of someone you thought you knew.